Hey, thanks for listening. Please subscribe to our newsletter at theproductporch.com for notifications on the latest episodes and exclusive content.
At the end of it, you may come to an answer that's uncomfortable. And uncomfortable isn't convenient. Instead of just going, well, this one's convenient, therefore it's easy and I can move on. That's not what critical thought is about.
Welcome to the Product Porch with Todd Blaquiere, Ryan Cantwell, and me, Joe Ghali. Today on the porch, we think about thinking as we go deep on a product manager power skill, critical thinking. Now settle in, folks, because on the Product Porch, every topic is a product topic. Funny enough, that movie, Wayne's World, was on TV the other day, and so I thoroughly enjoyed watching it, and I thought of you guys. So,
well, we've been thinking about you. We've missed you, buddy.
I've missed you guys too.
Well, Joe, we're glad that you're back. We're especially glad you're back for this conversation. We're kicking off a series of episodes about power skills in product management. And a major power skill in product management is critical thinking. Your ability to think critically about yourself. Ryan, you had a great quote earlier. Can you share a quote with me?
Critical thinking is thinking about your thinking while you're thinking in order to make your thinking better.
We're going to say think a lot in this podcast.
We
I
are.
can already tell.
If this were a drinking game, we'd be drunk by now, just to let you know.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So one of the definitions, again, we're quoting Richard Paul. He and Linda Elder from the Foundation of Critical Thinking define critical thinking as the art of analyzing and evaluating thinking with a view to improving it, which is clarifying the nonsense that you just said, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to, I said it before, but I'll just say the hyphenated word again, self-reflection.
Right. Self-reflection. There you go.
Self-reflection. Yep.
So Paul and Elder have this model, elements of reasoning. I'm going to have one of you go through this list here. And there's 8 elements that are part of this. And the crazy thing is when you read off this list, like the product management connections pop off so quickly.
All right. So number 1 is purpose. What is the goal of this reasoning? The second one is question at issue. What is the core question being addressed? Number 3 is information. What data supports this? Number 4 is assumptions. What is being taken for granted? Number 5 are inferences. What conclusions are being drawn? Number 6 are concepts. What frameworks shape this thinking? Number 7 are implications. What are the consequences of this reasoning? And number 8 is point of view. Whose perspective is?
That's crazy, right? Like how many of those, when you heard that, just reminded you of product management right away? Like which ones?
All of them.
Almost all of them.
I especially number 8. Whose
perspective is this? Practicing
Joe,
that one stuck out at me the most.
Has you all over it.
That's right. And
that one like stuck out to me like instantaneously when I saw the list. Like I gravitated to that one.
Yep. And assumptions was the one that jumped out to me. Trying to identify assumptions.
I would have picked both of those out for each of you, by the way.
I assume you would. Do you like that?
Well, now you got to pick mine. Which one would I pick?
Wait. I got number 2. What is the core question being addressed? That was my Todd.
Core question. You used core question, which really sounds
I would have used evidence. What evidence are we using for this? Yeah.
Love it. That's a great one. Tiny acts of discovery, right?
Yeah.
So we get into our tiny acts of discovery. Point of view, Joe, you talked about how that one sticks out to you. Where do you see like examples of bad product decisions that don't take into account that element? Yeah. How do you see that applied negatively?
I think it's just it's a myopic way at how you want to address a customer problem. It's not thinking about a holistic approach to why it's happening, who it's impacting. It's also like the context of the person that may be requesting a feature or a change, or the person that is making that feedback. It's like, what are the steps that led that person there? And what are other perspectives of that same process? Or what are the other perspectives of that other pain point? Like, is it everyone is thinking like this? What are different customer segments? How are they looking at that particular process? Right. And I think that is so like, we just don't do that because we want the easy button. Like we still want that dopamine hit of like solving a problem for someone, but we don't realize we're solving it for the wrong person because we didn't ask enough questions.
I was talking to a CEO of a hospice today in northern North Carolina, the northernmost of the Carolinas. And she was talking about how she has worked 36 years in rural North Carolina and how different rural hospice is from urban metro hospice, and explaining some of these. To give you an example, it's not uncommon for a nurse to drive an hour and a half to get to visit a patient. If you're working a hospice, in a metro area, you're not dealing with that. If you're in Pittsburgh, you're not driving an hour and a half to get to a patient's home. And so, but that's an example of, to your point, Joe, that perspective is unique. You talked about the different segments: rural versus metro, buyer versus user, manager versus employee. Like, there's so many different perspectives. And if you make a problem focus just on one, the most common one to me is when you're only considering your own business's needs and not your customers.
Yeah.
And that's when you make decisions that just don't seem to work out for some reason. It was so great. It was going to make us a ton of money. And for some reason, it doesn't seem to work out.
Yeah. And the risk of getting that wrong, not considering other people's point of view, is being seen as the steamroller, right? Getting that label, or because you're not, I guess your business could go belly up because you've not considered customer needs in Todd's example either.
So I want to share another one. This jumped out to me as something I didn't know. This is new for me. The concept of first order consequences and second order consequences. This is of that part, implications and consequences that you mentioned, that you mentioned there, Joe. In that section, so a first order consequence is like the immediate effect, and a second order consequence is an effect of the effect.
Mm-hmm.
When have you seen that in product management?
Could it be like you make an enhancement, you change something, the UI, the experience for the user, but you indirectly cause an influx of calls to your customer support because the users don't understand it. So now you're seeing an influx of calls to your support team because they don't know how to answer the question or how to support the changes that you're making. So not only are you frustrating the end user, you're frustrating your customer support team because they don't know how to answer the questions or support what you've done. I know that's like a wonky way of saying it, but is that...
that's a great example. That's a great example, right? And sometimes when when you look at the first order consequence, the first order consequence is positive, and everyone focuses on that and loses sight of the second order consequence. Hey, when we do this new feature, the buyer's going to save money. And everyone's like, great. Well, the buyer saves money. Let's do it. They're going to love us because we're making them save money. The second order consequence is it increases the workload on a certain persona or certain role at their company or something, or it takes decision making out of the hand of someone, and now that person's upset and frustrated. Like, sometimes we don't think beyond that first layer of consequence.
One that does come to mind would be reacting to developing something that, the competition has it, and we put it out into the world. First order effect could be, well, it's going to be good for us. We're going to get more business. A second order effect would be, well, we didn't think about in my case, I'm a hardware guy, my distributor, who now doesn't know how to position my product against the competitors because it's the exact same thing. And they stop selling mine because they don't understand it.
That's good.
What's interesting is it kind of connects to the discovery tool. I know, Ryan, I know you do this, where you'll ask the 5 whys. And so someone might say, like, I want to export the chart or whatever. I want to export that report. Why do you want to export a report? Because I like to pull things in Excel and manipulate data. Well, why do you like to pull things in Excel and manipulate data? Because there's this field that I always added, and you do that. This is kind of the inverse of that. So that's at the front end, like, why do we do that? And then on the next side, it's then what? Yeah. Okay, if that happens, then what? If that happens, then what? If that happens, then what?
Yep. And what else? What's coming?
I had a question though, Todd, on on the concepts, like what frameworks shape this thinking. Can I ask, like, how do we define frameworks in this context?
I'll give you a great example. So when I read that, of course, my discovery obsessed brain went right to tiny acts of discovery. I've seen this with my own teams. They'll come bring data to me. They'll come bring a response to me, a decision to me. Hey, we're going to make this choice. And I'll say, okay, great. How did you gather this? Well, we did some discovery. Okay, how did you do that discovery? We went and had interviews. Okay, great. Were those interviews focused on a specific hypothesis? Did they have a discussion guide? Did we ask the right questions? So this is more about thinking, how did we come to this conclusion? How did we gather this data and come to this conclusion? So an example would be, we were in a design review and we were seeing designs. Hey, here are 4 different designs. We're recommending making this decision we want to know, how are we making this decision on which one of these designs we want to use? And I brought it back to wait, can someone remind me, what outcome are we trying to get from this? What are we trying to accomplish? That's right, these. And we wrote down the outcomes. Great. Given that we're trying to account those outcomes, one of the things was customer satisfaction, or it was customer happiness. It was like customer joy. And I'm like, how are we defining that? If they're not having joy, why are they not having joy? What do we say is not having good enough joy? And so as we went through this framework, it was clear, okay, now we know we have a testable model. We have specific things we can test for because we feel like this is what's created friction in the old one. Now we can test these design concepts against this framework that we've built and get back real data that tells us which design to pick. Whereas if we just gone with the first pass and we like C because we like C, it's not defensible. So the framework is just like, is this a defensible framework?
Yeah.
Were we leading the witness? Were we asking the right questions? Think of the mom test, things like that.
Yeah.
So I had written down demonstrating discipline. So I didn't like the word framework. It's like, what discipline shaped this thinking? Like, that's the way, because framework, I think framework has too many interpretations. And I'm like, what's the discipline that was demonstrated to get to this point of view, or to shape where you're going? And so I always thought discipline was a better word than framework for number 6. That kind of just stuck out to me.
So as we talk about and say the word thinking 1,000,001 times, I think what is helpful as we go through this is to have some sort of framework or standard that can really help us use what we're talking about here. So how do we apply practical, critical thought? And Paul and Elder, you brought them up earlier, Todd. I think they're going to come up a few times because they have something that I really like to see. Because I don't know, I'm a visual guy. I like a good framework. So let's cover a good framework. And it was just some simple questions.
I love this.
What I'd like to do is talk about a few of them because I think they seem so simple. It's like how obvious, but having them as a reminder is incredibly useful. Like one of the early questions that you should ask is it true? Because everything often gets stated as fact. And we have to challenge that a little bit to know how big of an assumption is this really? Because you can't know anything that's in the future is going to come true. You can't know that. But there are things that happen maybe in the past, or you're saying it's a point of evidence that you can, with more certainty, say, yep, that's true. I can prove it. So asking questions about what are we talking about here so we don't fall off the tightrope as we walk down our thought exercise, because I've seen that happen very easily, right? Where people start on one thing, and then all of a sudden they wind up in another place because too many assumptions were made that like the house of cards gets built and then tumbles down. What do you think? You guys have seen the framework too. Are there any other questions there that jump out to you as something that is
Well, I
useful?
like the very first one. For clarity, do we understand it? This is something where, this is why I like doing Tiny Acts of Discovery. I just was in a session today, a product manager led. And he did a bunch of what do we know and what do we not know? And there is that thing of, I think we also often jump into problem solving. We talk about this without clearly understanding our context.
Yeah. And Joe, if you're going to pick one, I really hope you pick my favorite one on the list. I want to see if you found it.
Of the 9 standards, this one's my favorite.
Yeah. I want to see if we match.
I don't know. My reaction was number 9, fairness, or number 4,
I knew Joe was going to
relevance.
pick that one.
Yeah.
What?
I knew Joe was going to pick fairness. I said I knew Joe was going to pick the last one. Say more about that, because I think it's great.
Yeah, it is a good one.
How do you want people to perceive you? I think more now than ever, people want they want to know, you want to demonstrate street cred. And so you may just be saying things because you're getting it out of an LLM. Right. And I think sometimes people are afraid to be vulnerable and talk about what they don't know. And I think you can mask that. I think you can mask that now more than ever. And I think people aren't willing to say, I don't know. Like, what do you mean you don't know? There's a million tools out there to help you answer these questions. Like what? You're just an idiot? You don't know how to use AI? Like, more now than ever, I wonder how sincere people are, or how much they're willing to be vulnerable when they don't know something.
Or we try to bend a no to a yes when when the evidence doesn't actually support our point of view.
Fair. Yes.
Yeah.
That's 100. That's very fair.
All right. But the one I was looking for.
What did you think? Wait. I want to go back. Which one did you think I was going to pick?
I don't know. I had my favorite. I want to see if you've picked the same one as me.
What's your favorite one?
I started with accuracy, but my favorite is relevance. Does it matter?
I like that
How
one too.
often do we find ourselves in situations talking about something that just does not matter at all?
You know what? I just gave this speech to my team last week. It was Friday. I gave a speech to my team in our huddle. It's a weekly Todd Talk. But anyway, I told them, hey,
not a TED Talk, a Todd Talk.
No, it's a Todd Talk. To remind my team that, like, listen, we can't just present data. I was at a conference recently, and a former company of mine was actually a speaker at the conference, and it was mounds and mounds of data, just over and over again, slides of data. They never explained why any of this data meant anything. They left it up to us today. Look, see, this goes up and then this goes down. Let's go to the next one. See, look at these circles. That one's bigger than that one. Let's go to the next one. And I'm like, so what? So I told my team, like, listen, if you're just gathering data, you can waste so much of your time if you don't understand why you're gathering the data in the first place. And if you're not presenting that information saying, this is why this is meaningful. Yeah. Anyway, that may not have been why you liked it, Ryan, but
well, I've got a silly story. My very first boss in product management, I know I've talked about him before. So he, to be funny, would reply to text messages to troll like us or his friends with just the word so ... That's it. Like if we would say something, he would say so, and it forced us to think about.
Brilliant.
Well, why should they care?
Brilliant.
So
we should at least read through the rest of the list so people know all of them. Yeah, I was going to say, let's get a lot of product words that we use here.
There are quite a few.
Right,
so we talked about
the 9 standards are clarity.
Yep.
Meaning, can you explain this in plain language to someone that's a skeptical stakeholder? At number 2 is accuracy. Is it actually true or does it sound true? That's a big one, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Precision. Is it enough? Is it specific enough to act on? Number 4 is relevance. Does it actually connect to the problem at hand? Just talked about that.
Yep.
5 is depth. Does it address the real complexity or just the surface? That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Breadth. Yep. 6 is breadth. Have you considered other viewpoints or alternatives? Now, in retrospect, I might have picked that one. Might be my close second.
Yeah.
Just going back to my previous feedback. Number 7, logic. Do the conclusions follow from the evidence? I would have picked that for Todd. 8, significance. Are you focused? Actually, I take that back. 8 is Todd. Significance. Are you focused on what actually matters? That one's more Todd than 7.
But not only does it matter, but does it matter enough?
Right. Yes. And then number 9 is fairness.
Fairness is the last one.
Yes, you know what? I got to give a shout out to my team. They just get better and better at this all the time. They're just gotten, there's that quote, I've used it before here, the Pat Riley quote, keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
My team has just gotten so fantastic about that. And when we're talking, we're spending most of our energy during the week on the main thing. And I love that because it's very easy to get distracted by side quests.
Yeah, it is. And I think a pitfall that I'd like to caution people against is it is very easy to confuse convenience with truth. So don't get caught by convenience.
Say more.
Okay. So if you have insights, you're making a decision, you're trying to apply critical thought, you have to ask yourself the framework. Thank you, Joe, for reading us the list there of the various questions. But at the end of it, you may come to an answer that's uncomfortable. And uncomfortable isn't convenient. Instead of just going, well, this one's convenient, therefore it's easy and I can move on. And that's not what critical thought is about.
I got a blow to my stomach when I had a senior product management manager sit me down and explain why we should not enter a market we were planning to enter. And after reviewing the data, he was right. All the data signals pointed to yes, except for one very important one. And then that very important one highlighted a secondary one and combined just like this. This is, the second order consequence.
Yeah.
And it was like a punch to the gut. But I had to stick to my product principles of we don't get to remove the inconvenient truth.
Yeah.
This is a reason to say no. Oh, it hurt. It hurt.
Yep. All right. And as we're having this conversation, guys, I'm seeing the image that's been parodied a million times over of the fish that crawls out of the water that turns into a little mammal, then the little mammal that turns into a little monkey, and then a little monkey that turns into an ape, and then the ape that turns into a Neanderthal, and the Neanderthal that turns into a man.
Evolution.
Like the evolution of man. And I think we can start to map different types of critical thinkers along a spectrum. And we may have found some stuff for that, in fact, right? Paul and Elder.
Paul and
So
Elder.
you guys want me to, do you want me to share the 6 stages, or just want to go through them each one by one, or how do you want to kick that? How do you want to do that?
Yeah, just go ahead and take us through the 6 stages. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So stage 1, the unreflective thinker, right? They're unaware of significant problems in their own thinking. They don't apply standards like accuracy, logic, or fairness consistently. Number 2 is the challenge thinker. They are aware that problems exist in their thinking, but are not sure how to fix them. They recognize that bias exists. They can't always spot it on. This is a big one. Number 3 is a beginning thinker. They've committed to improving, but lacks a consistent practice. Self-monitors occasionally, but not systematically. Number 4 is a practicing thinker. They understand the change is needed and actively practices critical thinking with attention. Number 5 is the advanced thinker, skilled in critical thinking across most domains. Number 6 is Todd. Number 6 is the master thinker, skilled, insightful thinking, becoming second nature.
That's amazing.
It's this visual.
His finger to his chin. I do that when I'm thinking. Finger to my lips. That's right. That would be beautiful. I actually ranked myself in practicing thinker. I still think I have a lot of growth, but I will take that compliment. Thank you. The one thing I found is like when looking at beyond practicing thinker, when you look into the advanced and master thinking spaces, it's really intellectually humble, like really getting into that point where you do not connect yourself with your ideas. You're not worried about whether or not you win. It's very focused on, being able to argue both sides fairly. And I want to believe I'm there. Maybe I'm just aware of my own emotions inside, but I would love to get there. I still think I'm working on that.
Yeah. I mean,
Can I tell you how I'm working on it?
Yeah. Tell us.
I would love to know that.
Yeah.
Here's actually how I'm working on it. I'm using AI right now to work on it. And what I'll do is I'll come up with ideas that I think are right about our organization. And I'll go into chat or Claude and I'll say, hey, here's my point of view. Here's why that is. And I'll tell it to tell me why I'm wrong or to give me some sources for why I'm wrong. That's been super helpful to see things that I didn't see before. My hope is by doing that practice, I will get more comfortable. I'll get more comfortable with, exploring the antithesis of what I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think, so when I saw the stages, I think we can all agree. Tell me, if you disagree, let me know. I think most PMs are in the 2 to 4. That's where most PMs live today, right? But I think the challenge...
if they have good processes, they might be in practice thinker. They might be.
Yeah, I would think if you look at the bell curve, most would fall probably in 3 with the highest performing in 4. And that's where I put myself. I'm like 3 transitioning to 4 most of the time.
Yeah. Yep. But I think the challenge, and let me know if you guys agree or disagree on this. I think AI is pushing people back, AI is pushing PMs back to 1.
Say more.
They're getting lazy.
Say more.
Getting lazy.
No, I just think that, we're getting lazy because they're trying to get more done and they're taking information they get out of large language models at face value. They're not questioning it. They're not even checking it. They're just literally doing a copy and paste without your point, Todd. And I've been actually during this, I actually wrote down on a note sticky. I said, tell me why I'm wrong. I'm like, I need to add that to how I write my prompts back. Right. Because I ask it to poke holes. I'm like, what am I missing? This is my perspective. I feel like I'm getting better at that. But I love the tell me why I'm wrong. I don't think people are doing that.
The other thing I do is I have it play the role of different people on my team. Now, I haven't built agents just so you know. I don't have an agent for members of my team or something. I haven't built out a whole model or something silly. No, but it'll just be like, hey, I want you to consider my CFO and what my CFO's position might be based on their goals and da-da-da-da-da. And I'll do that with different members and I'll have it challenge my thinking from those angles. And that's fantastic because it will bring up questions that people on my team might have asked before they ask it. And I get to consider that. It's like, hey, your chief revenue officer might ask you this and might think this is a challenge because, it's not fast enough, or it might disrupt some current sales. It's like, ooh, I didn't think about that. And so now I can start preparing my thoughts a little bit more well-rounded.
Yeah. And I did find a data point. There was a study done in 2025 where they found a negative correlation between frequent AI tool usage and critical thinking abilities.
Which, by the way, all of us have kids, different spectrum of ages, and how AI is being introduced in their world.
Yeah.
That scares me deeply.
And that's because we see AI as a mechanism to offload thought, right? And it needs to be, when we're talking about critical thinking, it's like a muscle. It needs exercise. We can't let it atrophy. And we can develop the skill the more we do it. We can get better at it. It can be learned. It's not just something some people have and others don't. We can develop it.
What's interesting about that, Ryan, is you were saying that, I thought I've actually, in some ways, feel like I've grown. I was even saying I'm using it as a tool to help me grow my critical thinking.
Yeah.
In some ways, I feel like I've helped me grow because do you ever have that meeting? You're in the room and everyone's talking and you have a competing thought, but you don't know how to describe it. You're just kind of like, this feels wrong for this reason and I can't explain this. I've leveraged ChatGPT to help me with that. I'm going into it and I'm like, I feel like this is wrong and these are some of my feelings why. Has something to do with money. It can be vague. We're like, I don't know. I vaguely remember something in my MBA course once that said something like this. And then it will help flesh that out for me. And I'm like, oh, that's why. And then suddenly I'm like, that's really the reason that I see it. And then now I have something to bring up and talk about hey, here's a challenge I see to that. And this is why I was having trouble clarifying that. It's helped me in that way too.
So this is what's really interesting, as I just cited the statistic of a negative correlation. Carnegie Mellon, Pittsburgh proud, and Microsoft did a study and understood AI's limitations. Those people who knew how to use AI and get the most out of it, they were calling them high literacy AI users, actually did better than they would by themselves with AI. So look at this. And this is what Dean talked about in his episode with us, Joe. Remember? AI amplifies the bad just as much as the good. So if you know how to use it, and if you understand what critical thinking is, like we're talking about here, you can use it to great effect, and it can make you better. It's like, I love the analogy. It's like Tony Stark puts on the Iron Man armor, and all of a sudden you're better.
So what tips would you give then to how do we do that? What does that look like in practice, that high AI literacy practice?
So I think the first thing I'd want to mention is everybody who has used any AI tool has noticed it is incredibly supportive and affirming of you, no matter what. You could give it the best idea or the worst idea in the world. It'll say, that's great. Well done. It gives you the virtual pat on the back.
Sometimes I ask it which one of the Product Porch hosts is the best.
And it always says Todd.
It consistently says Todd. Me, so
it'll say Todd.
I'm just like,
yeah. But mine says it was me. But what I would do is, it's very easy. Tell it to be critical. Ask it to don't be as affirming. I want you to challenge me. Make sure you're giving me a counter argument to what I'm saying. So what you're doing there is not offloading your critical thought. You're getting it to build critical thought in your mind if you use it in that specific way. And I think that is one of the best ways to use it the right way.
I have found that to be helpful.
So
there was So I Googled. So Ryan, you know what the consequence of not doing that? There's a term that's getting coined.
Yes.
Basically, they call it work slop.
Work
slop. So basically, it's AI generated outputs that appear polished but lack depth or meaningful substance.
Because it's
that's the official term.
Work slop. So I think another good way to use it too is to help you find assumptions you might be missing. I'm always asking it questions like that. Like, okay, here's the problem I'm thinking about. I've got these things. What am I missing? Like, what should I be considering that I'm not considering? And maybe everything it gives me isn't like, I can very quickly read through and go, I can discard that one. Or, hey, that's a good one. I need to add that to my list. So in those ways, it can, again, build you up where you don't have to wait for 2 days from now when I'm on a walk and like I had the bolt of lightning hit me. Like it's helping you get those much faster, right?
One of the things I push my team for all the time is, hey, remember this, you can't remove your own decision making from it either.
That's right.
So if you're using this to generate, like you said, other assumptions, other points of view, challenge your own thinking, even to synthesize that information, gather it, synthesize it, that's great. Don't use it to make the decision. Ultimately, you have to draw the conclusions. And in product work, there's a lot of qualitative context that we can't just pull from our brain and put into the machine. Feelings, observations, you can't get it all in. So
No.
it'd be unwise to simply rely on that final synthesis as well. They gave it a check mark, so that check mark must mean good.
Oof.
You still have to evaluate it with your own context to know whether or not you agree with that check mark.
Yeah. And AI is incredibly good at mimicking human emotion. And I say mimic very deliberately because it doesn't have them. It's just gotten good at mimicking what we do, how we say, and it gives us a false sense of security, I think. So another way to use it, so we talked about using it as a critical way to challenge you a little bit, to surface assumptions. But even as you get closer to having a decision and if you're feeling good about it, use it as a pressure cooker. Start to say, like, Joe, I'm going to point back to you. One of your favorite things at the beginning was empathizing with other people, using different perspectives. Ask it to play different roles. Like, what have I missed here from this other perspective? Like, who might not agree with this? Where is it going to fall apart? And it's going to, again, dig those things up. And
I love that question. I'm going to add that one.
I just wrote that down.
That's a great one.
Exactly. AI, again, amplifies the good, amplifies the bad. So we got to use it the right way.
So I have two things before we get into our key takeaways. I got two things I'd like to do here. One, I'd like to discuss some habits. How do we build critical thinking? We've discussed some tools, some tactics we do. Is there any other kind of habits people can just leverage outside of AI to build these skills? And then the other thing I want to ask Ryan is I want to ask your boss this question. And maybe that will lead us to our key takeaways. But we can start with, why don't we talk about some habits? What are the habits that will help people move from practicing thinker to advanced thinker and so on?
Some habits that would help people move from one step to the other. So we kind of put people, Joe, on the bell curve at number 3. We think generally.
Between
so let's
2 and
talk
4.
about from 3 to 4, because I like I said, I think I'm in the transition zone there more often than not myself. So beginning thinker is stage 3, practicing thinker is stage 4. Beginning thinker, I need to actively improve my reasoning, start asking better questions. I might revert or defer when I'm pressured, things like that. But as I look at that one, to get better, I'm going to move beyond just saying, hey, I have evidence for this, or hey, I've tested my assumption, and I'm going to say kind of what we were just talking about. Who would disagree with this? Or is there any data I might be missing from my evidence? So I'm not just relying on this one thing. I'm trying to stretch myself a little bit more to be more well-rounded in how I consider things. That's how I would go from like 3 to 4.
You know what's funny is my friends and I, we love basketball. We're always like making claims about what the future is going to hold. What player is going to be great? Who's going to be an all-star? Who's going to be a dud? I still remember someone's take on Victor Wembanyama. He was saying, best case scenario, 16 points a game. That's all he's going to be. You watch 7 rebounds, 6, and I'm like, I just love throwing that in his face now. I'm like, this guy's going to be the best player in the world. He's totally messed up. But, that there's that part of doing a postmortem, decision postmortem, looking back.
I love the postmortem.
Did I predict right?
Yeah, that is good.
Did we get this right? What was right in our thinking? What was wrong in our thinking? Where did we go wrong in making this decision? And Joe, I know that you love those postmortems. You love doing the retros. And it's just an important part. If you don't look back, you're not going to get better in the future. Also, Joe, you're a coach, so I know you love that as well.
I love that. Yeah. I was going to bring like, you never start with a clean slate. It's like, bring your assumption, like go in with your point of view first, right? And then stress test. I think we're talking about some of the questions. What assumptions am I missing? But I mean, like, I think it's still important that you have a thought out, like, hypothesis going into it. You have to have that. Like, you have to have a little bit of conviction going into it, not be kind of loosey-goosey with what you're thinking. I don't know, that's in terms of like how to like build up that muscle, that critical thinking muscle, that you've got to go in with like a defensible position on what you think should be happening.
Agreed. And then have structured tests for it.
Yeah.
And seek out the opposing view. I think that's fantastic. Okay, so now I'm going to ask that question. Ryan, I'm asking your boss's question here. So we just had this conversation about this power skill called critical thinking in product management.
Yep.
Dot. I mean, I think what he's really asking is, so what?
So what? Yeah.
So what? This conversation, so what?
Yeah, okay. So what? Power skill, what my simple mind and the definition of a power skill is what takes any good product manager to great. So if you can figure out how to exercise your critical thinking parts of your brain to ask the right questions, surface the right assumptions, think about your thinking, remember, self-reflection, and try to evolve and get better, you are going to be a more valuable professional practitioner of product management. That's the so what.
I got a really good so what. You guys ready for this?
Yes.
This is good. I'm excited for this. Product managers are the last line of defense before a bad decision becomes a shipped product.
Oh,
okay. So increase your critical thought so you can be the best last line of defense.
I love these. Those are great takes.
Yeah.
I have nothing to add. I just want to say amen. I think those are great so whats. I think those pass the test.
Even better, I need to tell you guys this too. Todd, you latched onto my old boss using so. He would even do it when you actually did something great. Like, I won the Nobel Prize, and he'd respond.
That would make me so angry. I'd be irate. I'd like block him from my phone.
It was so funny.
I'd be like,
he would do it to people.
So I'm better than you. That's what so.
Yeah. So he used it in multiple ways, and it made me laugh.
All right. Cue Joe.
All right. So what are our key takeaways, gentlemen? Yes, I know. Fine. Make fun of me all you want.
You're great at it. You do such a great job of it.
I try. Ryan, you go first.
All right. So the thing I take away from this is it's very easy to come into a topic like critical thought and think about it as very theoretical and nebulous and squishy. But in fact, what we've talked about today it's pretty defined. There are clear frameworks you can use to put this stuff into practice, and it's incredibly easy to find them. So this is something that I would tell everybody. If you're curious about the skill and want to know more, you could spend not very much time invested and start to put yourself on that continuum and figure out what you can do to evolve.
My key takeaway is critical thinking is about challenging your own thinking. As we discussed this, we were saying, looking for competing thoughts, looking at other perspectives, identifying assumptions and data that conflicts with what you learn. Like, critical thinking is challenging your own thinking. If you want to give yourself a simple test for, am I thinking critically? Ask yourself the question, have I found anything that competes with my idea? Have I sought it out? Have I gathered any data competing with my original thought? If not, you're not thinking critically.
As a leader, if you stop modeling critical thinking, your team stops practicing it.
Ooh.
You don't just atrophy your own skill.
That's pretty good.
You atrophy your whole teams.
Wow.
And a team
I like that, Joe.
of fast-enabled PMs who never question their outputs is a team that ships expensive mistakes at an accelerating speed. Mic drop. Boom.
Great, Joe. That's a great point. I love it. All right. So all you leaders out there, challenge your teams to think critically, model it and challenge. Oh, this is fun. I love thinking about thinking and thinking about how we think when we think.
Think. Oh, you know, this made me think of
That's right.
Winnie the Pooh. Was that Eeyore? No, that was Winnie the Pooh. Think.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Have a great night. It was great seeing you both.
Joe, come back soon.
Stay on the porch, Joe. Stop working so hard. Get out here on the porch and relax with us.
Well, he doesn't see it as work. He's doing the thing he loves. I can't fault you for that, Joe.
Thank you. All right. Good seeing you guys.
All right. Good to see you too.
Thank you for joining us on the Product Porch. We release new episodes every 2 weeks. You can also find us on LinkedIn for more content. We offer a special thank you to AJ and Jack Blaquiere for the music. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts of this podcast are their own and do not represent nor necessarily reflect those of their employer.